Hello YouTube. I'm back faster than normal since I've completed yet another mask. This one is for my personal collection. I do not plan on selling it anytime soon. As the title probably says, I haven't decided it yet. This is a gunshot wound mask. I made it from a stock 2018 mask, so this bullet hole is completely handmade. Well, cut, anyways. And the details for it are, well, I guess if I'm gonna talk about details, I should start from where I started with the mask. Well, most H40s need a trim on the neck, and they need a lot of other fixes. One of the most obvious are typically the mouths. They're always overcut, and so I took some latex, and the latex was taking a little bit too long to layer up, so I put in a little bit of cotton and blended as best I could. I say best as I could because it is not flawless. It is there, it's evident. And another thing that I haven't done on other H40 copies is sealing the ear holes. Now, it is said that on the hero masks, they just didn't cut out the ear holes. And from what I can see, I believe them. In the eye cuts, they needed a little bit of work. They weren't overcut for once, they were actually undercut, which made it easier for me to work with it. Here's the other ear hole. And I had to cut out needle hole. I don't know if they did that on the mask from the movie, but I just do it because it makes sense, because he got stabbed with a needle. And I don't know if they did this on the hero mask either, but I make the cracks into cuts on the neck. Not over here though, since that can cause an instability and just make this piece fall out. And then I did the bullet hole. It took me like a half hour to do this. And it's not flawless, but it's a gunshot wound. I'm not a huge stickler for detail. If it looks close enough, it looks close enough. Especially with these blood streaks, the river of blood. And on James's copy of the hero mask, there's blood rubbed up on the edges of the neck, which not only makes the neck look like it has flesh tones, but that the neck is darker than it is. What else have I done? I can't recall anything else that I've done to fix the mask. And so then I ripped off all the hair, or maybe I ripped off all the hair before doing all that. Rehauls. They don't make much sense. Regardless, then it actually took me a very long time to paint this because I did it the way that I used to, but it didn't yield the result that I wanted. So I restarted and did the dry brushing technique, but that was taking way too much time. And so I just did the best that I could to save the detail while patting on the paint with a makeup sponge. And the white coat that I did was way too of a cool toned white. It wasn't the cream kind of color that we've seen on the heroes and all the masks used for the movie. So I did a couple washes of yellows and browns to not only get the eye, nose, and lips weathering, as well as the neck, but to darken up the general skin tone. And to get the cracks to come back out, I used a calligraphy brush that had been previously dipped in latex so that it always had a very thin point. It couldn't randomly make a thicker line out all of a sudden. It was stuck. It was a permanent modification, but it helps make the cracks a lot thinner. And for the hair, it's the same hair that I tore off the mask before rehauling, except I mixed it with a dark mohair. I actually just applied this about an hour ago. And with the mohair mix, it gets a better color as well as better texture for when you start messing with the hair. Now, the hair used in the movie, from what I've heard, is a mohair and crepe mix. And so I tried to get that texture that you would get from crepe hair. And I used, well, actually, let's get the products on film. All that I used was the Got to Be freezing spray and invincible styling gel, as well as water. What I did was wet down the hair and I ran my hands through it, got it in the general shape that I wanted, and then I went through the hair with the gluing gel to really roughen it up and get that texture that you're seeing now. And then working through it a little bit longer, a little bit more, until it had the texture that I wanted. And the hairstyle that I was going for was the Guess Where He Is series on Instagram that happened. They would take a picture of Michael in a general area and people would have to guess. It was on one of the producers' Instagrams, but I can't quite remember. Maybe he had his own account at some point. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. This was a really fun mask to do, and I loved the outcome. It was a very long process, and I hope it stays in my collection for a very long time. Signing off.